What's up, internet users? Welcome to another edition of Epic Mealtime. No, I'm just kidding. This is the Sports Spiegel. We're trying this whole YouTube thing. I'm your host, Jesse Pantuosco, and I'm here with my NFL experts this week, Aaron Ortega and Jason Krakower. And we're going to go through, we're going to pick 6 games from Week 2 NFL. And we're going to start with Browns-Colts. Last week, Colts played their first game in about 45 years without Peyton Manning, and they got hammered, absolutely destroyed by the Texans. Jason, what do you think is going to happen this week against Cleveland?
Well, I don't know if it's possible to get torched by the Browns, but if it is, the Colts are in for a rough time. Last week, it just showed what can happen without Peyton Manning. I mean, just like I said before the season would start, without him, you know, when he was a rookie, they went 3-13. Next year, they were 13-3. I think it could be the opposite that happens this year without him.
What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I really liked what I saw at Colt McCoy last week for the Browns, and I think it's going to be a lot more the same this week for the Colts. The defense, you know, Peyton Manning can't play defense for them. I understand how important he is to that team, but they gave up, 41 points against Houston? So I think this is going to be a lot more the same against the Browns this week for the Colts. Again, Colt McCoy had a great game, expecting more of that, and Colts going to an 0-2 start, really missing Peyton Manning.
Yeah, the Colts, I mean, they only put up 236 yards of offense last week.
Peyton Manning does that in a quarter.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I'm with both of you guys. Collins looked like a sitting duck last week. It's not looking good, man.
Only a second.
With the new neck surgery, he could be out 3 months. I think he could be out the whole year. So second game we're gonna get to, the Monday night game, Rams-Giants. Two teams both hit with the injury bug early. You got Steven Jackson got hurt on his first play of the year, which was a touchdown for St. Louis. He's not gonna play. Giants aren't sure if their top wide receiver Hakeem Nicks is gonna play. He's questionable right now. Aaron, who you got in this one?
This one's really tough because you said both teams really hurt by injuries, especially with Steven Jackson out of the game for the Rams. But I'm still going to go with the Rams in this game if Sam Bradford's healthy. I think he's the difference in that game. You saw he hurt himself, hurt that right thumb, I believe, against the Eagles last week.
He's going to play.
He's going to play. He's going to try to tough it out. But I think the signing of Cadillac Williams is going to prove to be a lot bigger than it looked like a couple weeks ago before Steven Jackson got hurt. I think that Cadillac Williams he did a good job against the Eagles. I think he can do just enough against the Giants, who quite honestly looked pretty bad against the Redskins last week. And that was maybe the biggest shock of the whole week with all the upsets and, you know, lopsided scores. But that was perhaps the biggest upset and surprise of the week. No one thought the Redskins were going to come out and actually do anything right away off the bat.
Grossman had a good game, too.
Yeah, Rex Grossman coming out of nowhere. He left the guy for dead, and he showed up last week against the Giants.
He did, surprising all of us from the D.C. area. I'm a Skins homer. I could not believe what I saw last week. 28-14, doubling up the Giants. Grossman just picked apart their secondary.
Really did.
They couldn't do anything about it, and I couldn't believe what I saw. Last week, Knicks went down. You saw that. I mean, it's...
So you're going with St. Louis, too?
I'm going with the Rams, yeah. And Bradford's playing. That was one of the big deals. Cadillac Williams is in there. We already touched upon that. I was looking at the stats, and nobody else put up any numbers receiving besides Mario Manningham. And if that's the case, Eli's going to be in trouble.
Dark days for the Giants. All right, third game we got to get to. Chiefs at Lions. Lions, a lot of people are picking them as a dark horse this year. They took care of business in Week 1 in Tampa. Chiefs did not. They got blown out by the Bills. This offense is too good for them to lose 2 weeks in a row, isn't it?
I don't know. I'll take this one first. I don't know. The Chiefs, they did look terrible last week. And who knows if the Bills are for
real.
real.
They got Jamal Charles. He's like a top fantasy running option.
Hey, it's not
Castle only 6 interceptions last year.
Charles isn't going to be a top 10 fantasy option if they only give him the ball 10 times, which happened last week. Klester's going to help out, but who knows if those guys can really do any work if they don't get the ball. I have the Lions in this game. They've been, I don't know, playing as well as they've been playing all decade, I think, with Stafford.
Probably 20 years.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? I don't know. They, like I said, the Chiefs were dominated. What was it, 41-7?
41-7, yep.
Yeah, so
I didn't look too bad either. It surprised me.
Yeah,
surprised everybody.
I got to go with the Lions in this game.
How about you, Aaron?
I'm going Chiefs. I think they actually bounce back. I think that Week 1 was a fluke for both teams, both the Chiefs and the Bills. I don't think the Bills are that good or the Chiefs are that bad. And like you said before, Jamal Charles touched the ball 10 times. That's not going to happen again. And I understand that Ndamukong Suh in that line. Thomas Jones could actually be big in this game. He might take some of the pressure off of Jamal Charles going into the middle of the line. If we can get Jamal Charles running on the outside, short, quick screen passes where he's really dangerous in the open field, that's where he'll be really effective. I'm expecting close to 30 touches in either pass plays or running plays for Jamal Charles this week.
And one of the big losses for the Chiefs, Eric Berry, out for the season.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big blow for them.
I think I'd probably go Chiefs too. As you saw in my picks last week, I'm a big fan of that offense. I think that they're going to
Dwayne
bounce,
Bowe, maybe the
bounce
most
back.
underrated receiver in the league.
He's on my fantasy team. Mexican Fighting Beagles, first shout out of the broadcast. All right, now for the good games. This one could be a potential NFC Championship matchup, in my opinion. You got the Bears and the Saints. They're playing in New Orleans. Jay Cutler got a lot of heat for sitting out the final couple quarters of the NFC Championship game, but came back and had a pretty darn good week against Atlanta. And last week, Rodgers absolutely torched this New Orleans defense. Aaron, you think he's going to do it again?
I'm going Saints in that game, honestly. I know they lost, but no fault of Drew Brees, and I think that offense is going to carry them through this game. One of the most dynamic offenses. Marquez Colston, though, out this week. That could really, really hurt them. He's one of these, their biggest, most, best across the middle threat. But I still think with Robert Meacham, Devery Henderson, and throw in some of the guys out of the backfield like Pierre Thomas, you can maybe even get Ingram out of there out of the backfield. I think this offense is just too dynamic. I think they come back against the Bears, who, in my opinion, really overachieved. And Brian Urlacher, again, might not be at this game. He's missed practice a couple times this week after the death of his mother. So if he's out, it's definitely the Saints, in my opinion.
Well, one thing the Saints didn't have trouble doing last week was scoring points. They scored 34, and they were a yard away from tying it up.
I was just going to chip that in. I was going to say, I think if you saw my blog post from the NFL preview, I think the Packers are the best team in the league. Better than the Patriots even. I know there's some of those who might not agree with me on that one. But 1 yard short, half a yard against the best team in the league.
And home field advantage has got to play a big role
exactly.
too, right?
And who knows if the Bears are for real. I know that they had a rout over the Falcons. But
I'll tell you one thing, everyone keeps leaving what's his name, Jay Cutler for dead and saying he's not this, he's not that. He took him to an NFC Championship game last year, one game away from the Super Bowl, and he came out looking pretty good in that first game. I'm picking the Saints, but
yards, right?
but maybe it's time for everyone to start, giving this guy a little bit of a break.
Should be a good game. Should be a good game. I'm not sold on Cutler yet. All right, this one this could be like a 50 to 45 type of game.
Easy.
These two offenses are unbelievable. Chargers and Patriots. They're playing in Foxborough. I got my prop. 517. That's how many passing yards Tom Brady threw for last week on Monday. Unbelievable. Can anybody stop this guy?
I should say it's not going to be the Chargers defense. They did stop McNabb last week, but as a Redskins fan, again, I'm just going to say
He's seen better days.
He has seen better days.
As an Eagles fan, I'll say that's not the same McNabb.
Yeah, true.
39 yards is not going to cut it.
The main stat that I found from last week was that the Chargers doubled up the Vikings in time of possession, and they beat them by 7. 7 points. That's it. I don't know if this Chargers team is for real. I don't want to look into 1 week of football as what this team can play or not. But I don't know. I just don't know if the Patriots or the Chargers can keep that game close.
Yeah, the Chargers may be the most confusing team in the league. Every year they seem to start off real slow, and then the second half of the season look like they're going to make a run to the Super Bowl and barely squeak in the playoffs. But the offense is always up there in the top 4 or 5 in the league.
No, Rivers is phenomenal, yeah.
He's absolutely phenomenal. And you saw what Chad Henne did with the Patriots defense last week. But like you said, 517 passing yards out of Tom Brady. Ocho Cinco had, 1 catch?
1 catch.
I was just going to bring that up. Teddy Bruschi giving him ripped him apart this week. Expecting him to play better this week?
I'm not expecting him to get that involved in the offense yet, quite honest with you. I don't think he's got a grasp on it yet.
Got a good thing going with the tight ends right now.
Exactly. Keep working that. And I'll tell you what, the biggest surprise for me from the Patriots last week was how well Albert Hainsworth played. He actually looked very good in the middle of that line. And if they can get that guy that played in Tennessee and anchor the middle of that defense.
Step on people's heads.
And all that good stuff.
Past that. I don't know.
The guy, what is he, 330 in the middle? Stopping
like
it really depends on what he's playing, because, in D.C. he had to shuffle that weight around.
Oh, yeah.
We called him the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I called him that. I don't know about other people.
So you guys both have the Patriots in this one?
I have the Patriots. What about you?
Good man. Goes without saying.
What's your final score prediction for this game?
I really think it's going to be high scoring. I'm going to say 45-38.
45-38.
I could see a 50, like you said before.
I think the Patriots are going to take the week off defensively again.
Okay.
It's not a bad defense. They got weapons. They got a great corner in Devin McCourty, but
Chad Henne.
exactly.
Anytime you say that, you got to be a little bit worried. Chad Henne does not torch people.
And Philip Rivers is going to get his 250 yards, 3 touchdowns.
He'll get
Easy.
354 touchdowns.
Probably. Last game we're going to get to, game of the week. It's the Sunday night game. Eagles-Falcons. Aaron, you're the Eagles fan. You have seen Michael Vick these last 2 years. What do you think is going to be going through his head? Do you think he's going to be emotionally ready for this game, or are you expecting him to be in top form?
I absolutely think he's going to be emotionally ready. Last time he went down to Atlanta, he wasn't the starter, but in that game, he ran for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown in limited time, backing up Donovan McNabb in that game, I believe, 2 years ago. I think he's shown that he's put everything in his past from Atlanta behind him, and he's ready to focus on this year's team. He knows what this year's team is possibly capable of if they get on the same page. And I really think it's going to be Eagles coming out victorious in this game, and I think Vic's going to have a great game against the Falcons. But with the Eagles last week, it seemed to me like they were just I don't want to say sense of urgency, but we
talked about it the other day, going through the motions.
Exactly. They just went through the motions against a team they knew they could handle. It was like when they needed to get a stop, they said, okay, we'll step up here and get a stop. When we needed a touchdown, they said, okay, we'll step up and get a touchdown.
It wasn't pretty, but...
It wasn't pretty, but you know what? For the first game of the year, and I told you this, it wouldn't have surprised me. I'm a huge Eagles fan, but it would not have surprised me if the Eagles had lost that first game. You got a lot of new guys coming in, a lot of new guys that need to learn the system, but they came out after that first, and in all fairness, Steven Jackson was out of the game, and he averaging 40-some yards a carry.
Maybe a little different situation.
I think it definitely would have been a little bit different, but the offense, it still looked very good with LaShawn McCoy. I think he'll get more touches actually running the ball this week, but you had two guys that ran for nearly 100 yards last week, with McCoy and Vic. And the passing game looked good too, so I expect
Vic's a different quarterback than he was back in Atlanta. He throws the ball now.
That's the thing. He'd never been taught before coming to the Eagles how to actually be a good quarterback. He was always an athlete that was playing the quarterback position.
The best athlete.
The best athlete. That's why he never had to teach him anything. He could run, blow by guys. But now that he's actually out of that dynamic of being an actual pocket passer, which he's actually looking to do first and foremost now, I think he'll be just as dangerous as he has been, and I'm expecting the Eagles to come out up in this game.
Jay, you taking the Eagles too?
Well, hey, I'm taking the Eagles, but now that you've covered the entire Eagles team, I'll mention some stuff about the Falcons.
What happened last week against Chicago?
I have no idea what happened to them. I don't know. They're one of the top teams in the NFC for sure.
Absolutely.
A lot of people's trendy Super Bowl picks, maybe. Matt Ryan didn't look great. They only gave Turner 10 carries, and he doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield like Charles does. So
yeah, and the one thing about Turner that they can exploit with the Eagles defense, they have a great defensive line, great cornerbacks. Their linebackers are very weak, and you saw that on the first play of the game. I said with Steven Jackson, that huge run for a touchdown. If they can give Turner a lot more carries, keep the Eagles offense off the field, Turner's going to be the key to this game for the Falcons, I think. If they can get past that first line of defense and get into the linebackers, they'll have a much better chance of winning.
I think so too, especially because the Eagles have such great defensive backs that Julio Jones, Roddy White, and Tony G, they might not be able to do anything against
Tony G might have a good game because he'll have a linebacker on him, and the Eagles are not a good coverage team with their linebackers.
This guy would know, right?
I've seen it with Jason Witten twice a year, every year.
Yeah. Real quick player to watch this week. I know who you're picking, Aaron.
I just pumped him up right there. Michael Vick going back to Atlanta, seeing what he does against the Falcons.
I'm going to go the exact opposite end of the spectrum, Kerry Collins. Whatever he does for the Colts, if they have to bring in Curtis Painter, it's going to be a very interesting week.
Maybe David Garrard, do you think he's a possibility there if Collins doesn't work out?
Right
now it makes too much sense.
If Collins plays like he did last week, they might start calling for that move pretty soon. If McNabb plays like he did last week, they might start calling for that pretty soon up there in Minnesota too. So.
Yeah. All right. I would think so. All right. Well, it's been great talking NFL with you guys. We're gonna wrap it up. I don't want to have to keep saying this. So just follow the Sports Beagle on Twitter, like it, and I'll give up already. All right.